Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jed from NASCAR on MDK. Welcome back to the episode with the June 23rd edition of Inside the Lines. We have 5 stories to talk about here, 3 regarding the top division in the Cup Series, 1 regarding the Xfinity, and 1 regarding trucks. So let's get right into it. The first story that took place over the Sonoma weekend with Denny Hamlin and Darrell Waltrip both unveiling a new paint scheme. I think this is one of, if not the first, actually no, excuse that, it was not the first, but it was one of the first few throwback paint schemes for Darlington this September, and it revolves a nice looking replica of Darrell Waltrip's Western auto car that he ran from 1991, I believe, to around 1997. Now, for those who don't know, that this was Darrell Waltrip's final broadcast race for Fox. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ran a very similar paint scheme to what Denny Hamlin will run, but still it's very nice to see FedEx and all these sponsors really getting into the throwback tradition. And yeah, it's a nice looking paint scheme, and really that will probably be one of, if not the only time, I will be rooting for Hamlin to have a good run, because that paint scheme looks absolutely beautiful. Now the next story to talk about here is not as exciting, but it's actually kind of scary if you really think about it. Last car on Brock, or also known as Brock Beard, reported on Twitter during the race that Cody Ware was pulled behind the wall with an acute case of carbon monoxide poisoning. He was unconscious and was being attended to by the medical staff. Now this is actually kind of scary, because this has been a reoccurring thing, it seems like. We saw it back in Dover in May, I believe. Denny Hamlin, he also had carbon monoxide poisoning. I believe also a few other cases of carbon monoxide poisoning that probably aren't as popular or wasn't picked up, but I'm pretty sure I've seen at least 3 or 4 cases since Hamlin this year. So I mean, this is actually really kind of scary, because carbon monoxide is a very deadly thing that it can kill you, really. So I mean, this is a reoccurring thing. NASCAR really needs to take a look at it. I feel like back then people just say, oh, it's a random thing that happens, but now it seems like not every week, but we're starting to hear this more and more as the races go by. So I don't know, this might be something that NASCAR needs to take a look at, but good thing though that, like I said, Cody Ware was attended to and he was okay. Now our third story revolves around Charlotte Roval, the Roval track that gave us quite the race last year. They'll be heading to back again in September. They announced over the weekend, I believe actually on Sunday after the Sonoma race, that they had made some minor adjustments to the backstretch chicane at the track. Last year was a major issue. I think we saw maybe 5-6 wrecks at that particular part of the track. I remember Bubba Wallace had one. I think also Denny Hamlin, as well as Eric Jones, I believe, also had major incidents on that backstretch chicane. In this little article presented by jski.com, it says, quote, that the original chicane's layout was 32 feet, but the new one will be 54 feet. And on top of that, it will have additional runoff areas which were unavailable in its first iteration. The move also features the back parts of the inside wall have been moved near the turn 3 oval to accommodate more on-track space for the updated chicane. The new turns will require heavy braking and a sharper entry, but a wider radius promises to provide drivers with an ideal mix of risk-taking opportunities and a slightly increased margin of error on exit if the driver's entry is correct. The track distance and turn count will not be affected by the new layout, which featured input from NASCAR drivers Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Justin Allgaier, as well as former F1 drivers Alex Wirtz and Max Pappas. Construction on the chicane began this week and is expected to conclude in early August. It's also important to know that with the addition of the restructured backstretch chicane, Speedway officials also announced an increase in race distance for the Xfinity race. The 200-kilometer 55-lap event will now become a 250-kilometer 67-lap drive. So, and that's a great thing to see there. Really, we were kind of expecting something like that to happen, to see some major adjustments that took place on that backstretch chicane. Thing I'm kind of curious about is, with all that stuff going on the back straightaway, are they just gonna like, what happens when we come back in for the Coke 600 in May next year? Are they just gonna take out everything and then maybe repaint it to have like regular asphalt, or like are they just gonna leave it like that, like with the wall the way it's? I don't know. It looks so weird. Like, obviously it's fitting for a Roval, but when you come back for the regular oval Coke 600, I'm very curious to see what they do there. If they're just gonna leave it like the way it is, obviously take out the turtles, or they're just gonna have to repave or paint everything over. It'll be interesting to see. But again, this is a great move. And man, this makes me even more excited for the Roval. Just even though we're months away, I'm already excited for the Roval. So yeah, great change by the people at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now we're going to the lower series. The one and only story comes from the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It was reported on June 19th that Regan Smith, who is a current NASCAR Fox pit reporter, will return to Junior Motorsports, driving the number 8 car in 2 road courses at Road America and Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course on August 10th and a couple weeks later on August 24th. This actually, I believe, the first time that Regan Smith will return to or will drive for JRM. I believe since maybe 2015 or 2016 at Dover. I'm not sure, but it's been a while. Regan Smith will also reunite with his longtime partner, Fire Alarm Services, for those 2 events. The first cars to have an actual race at Sonoma Raceway this weekend was the NASCAR K&N Pro Series, and my God, what a race. I mean, it was literally a, can't curse, but a crapshoot. I'll say that. It started off actually really tame. Noah Gragson led the first 27 laps of the event of the Procore 200. By the way, Hailie Deegan started on pole for this race. I believe this was her 3rd or 4th pole of the season, or of her career, if I'm not mistaken. Probably am wrong, but she won the pole at Sonoma for the first time. I believe she won the pole on a road course. But yeah, Noah Gragson led the first 27 laps of the event until a restart took place where he actually jumped the restart, and as a result he had to be sent to the back of the field, and that resulted in drivers like Ryan Preece and Daniel Hemrick to be the new race leaders, as well as Cole Custer. Throughout, I mean, as soon as Gragson went to the back, that's when all hell broke loose. It was caution after caution after caution. I believe they had like maybe 2 or 3 overtime finishes, which, remember, in the K&N series, once you take the white flag, the race is not over. I believe it's similar to ARCA rules, because like twice white flag came out, caution, and then they had to redo. You had Derek Kraus, who had mechanical problems, I believe, with the car. I forgot what he had, but he had a lot of issues with the car, but somehow was able to stay on the lead lap in the 19th position, while his championship contender, which is his teammate Hailie Deegan, started on the pole, finished in the 8th spot. The whole race in total, I believe, a total of 10 cautions, which I think is the most in K&N in a long time. And the race actually, I think, spanned out to, I believe, around 2.5 hours or so, which for a K&N race, that's a lot. Now, a major portion of that due to was a wreck that took place in the S's when Hailie Deegan jumped the curb, slammed into another driver. I forgot who his name was. It was Lawless Allen. That's who it was. It was Lawless Allen. He hit the curb in the SS spun and hit hard on that tire barriers. The tire barriers. That's what caused that red flag and really just made the race extend even further. It was supposed to be a 50 lap, but it expanded to 57 laps. I mean, it went from a pretty tame to good race, and then just an absolute just abysmal race. It was like the worst K&N race I've ever seen. It was just caution after caution. But during that whole time, Gragson was slowly working his way up. He was very aggressive. And really was pissing off a lot of people. You even had his teammate Austin Dillon bumping into him. Cole Custer was really trying to do some damage to him. I mean, while Gragson, look, I don't like Gragson, but he was making some very fun moves, very aggressive moves, and I'm surprised he was not dumped. But I do believe if Cole Custer had the opportunity to get a real good shot at him, he would have dumped him. And I believe that's what took place. I think Custer, coming into that little hairpin and onto the S's, I think Custer ran into Gragson very hard and washed him off the track and slowed his momentum down, but not enough. Gragson was able to win his 5th K&N race of his career for the first time in nearly 3 years. And of course, how does he celebrate? He wins and then throws up. I don't know why I've never it's kind of funny with Deegan. Hailie Deegan always seems to win by bumping someone out of the way. With Gragson, he has, like, every time he wins, the man pukes. Like, I know winning must feel great, but I don't know if you're Gragson, like, if you win so many times and you just keep puking, like, I feel like, do you wonder yourself, is it worth it? Like, probably yes, but then at that moment you're like, yo, okay, I need to stop winning if I'm just gonna keep puking all the time. Because we never hear him nor see him puke. The only time he pukes is when he wins. So maybe that's probably gonna be a signature, you know, like, you know how Joe Logano has like the steering wheel. You know, maybe that's gonna be Gregson's signature. Like, if I were him, I'd copyright that. I'd trademark that. Have like a logo of you puking with your name. Trademark that. you will sell a lot of money. You'll sell a lot of products, guarantee. And now on to the last story, and I feel like it's good to end off on a feel-good story. If you guys did not catch the NASCAR Gainer Outdoor Truck Series race that took place on Friday, it was won by the Watermelon Boy, Ross Chastain. Had redemption at Gateway Motorsports Park. Made a gutsy, actually his crew chief, Phil Gold, made a very gutsy call on lap 133 and elected that Chastain would take only fuel, while I believe the race leader, Christian Eckes, only took right sides. I believe it was right side tires, if I'm not mistaken. Chastain was able to gain track position ahead of Christian Eckes until 13 laps ago when the caution flew out. That created a restart. Ross Chastain was able to get by and hold on for the lead, but Christian Eckes, who had a very strong run, was the best KBM driver of them all, was running in second, but then spun on the final lap and ended his day again. It wasn't really a bad day for him, but really he had a very strong car and was, I believe, the most dominant car, if it wasn't for that pit strategy call by Ross Chastain and his team. So with that win, and yes, it has been confirmed that he did pass inspection. He even posted a video on Twitter, or photo on Twitter, with the NASCAR official holding the 2 thumbs up. So now it's confirmed, Chastain, he has that win in the bag. Now all he needs to do is get inside the top 20. So you take a look at the playoff grid. Brett Moffitt now is the points leader because he inherited that win due to Chastain failing at Iowa. Austin Hill and Johnny Sauter, who will return to the NASCAR Truck Series the next time the Truck Series are there, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Chicagoland. But I really have no idea. Him and Austin Hill are tied for second with 9 playoff points. Grant Enfinger, the first one out, 147 points above the cut line. Stuart Friesen in 5th. Matt Crafton is 6th. Ben Rhodes 7th. And Harrison Burton holds the final spot in 8th. Todd Gillen and KBM Equipment 9th. 31 points below the cut line, as well as Sheldon Creed. Tyler Dipple, 40 points below the cut line, and Jordan Anderson, 66 points below the cut line. And you see there, Chastain currently minus 38 from 20th place. Obviously, if everything really stays normal, he should be able to easily slide into the top 20 before the race before the playoffs begins at Bristol Motor Speedway. But that will conclude this episode of Inside the Line. Some of you guys, what do you think of any of these stories in the comment section down below? I probably won't have one tomorrow on Tuesday because that day is my birthday. So yeah, I'm gonna be celebrating my family and friends for my 17th birthday. So yeah, I probably will not be able to do a video there. I will try, but no guarantees on that. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Jeff from NASCAR on MDK, and I'll see you guys in the next video.